Hi there, I want to talk about the reprint of the Daredevil Omnibus. This is the Frank Miller KLAUS Janson Omnibus. It sits alongside the companion omnibus that I've already reviewed on this channel. What I would say is I prefer the stories in the companion omnibus, but this is where you see Frank Miller take over the writing and art of Daredevil and really make him his own. Totally worth having if you are a Frank Miller or Daredevil fan. We'll have a look at the book itself with the flip through. We'll just look at price and availability at the time this video goes out after the flip through, so stick around for that. So this is the Frank Miller KLAUS Janson Daredevil Omnibus. Have a look at the spine there. You've just got their names writ bold. Design on the front is not the same design as was on the original printing. That was more in keeping with the spine colours, a lot more simpler, but I like the cover that we got on there already. On the back you get your standard blurb, a hero redefined, etc. But nothing particularly noteworthy. Like nice picture on the actual hardcover. You get the famous one of Daredevil and Elektra on the back. You just get a nice plain black liner page. Then you're pretty much straight into the book. You get a little bit of blurb about Matt Murdock and Daredevil, but then you're into the contents page and a little bit of introduction, and then straight into the stories. And you've got to remember, this comes from an age of Marvel when the stories were a lot more sort of single issue jobs. You might get one straight 2 issues, maybe 3 at a real push, but most of these are sort of kind of monster of the week stuff where you have Daredevil face off against someone, uses powers, and it's all wrapped up at the end. That's not to say these aren't well written stories, because they are. They're really enjoyable to this day and there's lots to get from them. But whereas in the companion omnibus you tended to have full graphic novel stories, this is a lot shorter. So you see him tussling with standard sort of villains, Bullseye, Morbius and that at the start of this, but you're really waiting for him to get to Kingpin, and that's when Miller takes over full duties on the book. You get a short retelling of his origin, which is dealt with within, I think, about 3 or 4 pages in the book. But once you get to Miller drawing and writing the book, it really does take off. You'll get to see lots of sort of standard Miller tropes in the book once you're familiar with them and once you can spot them. He likes to use this technique, which you'll see in a page. There it is, a page where he has someone standing still and then changes the lighting or the shadowing on them to insinuate sort of sinister motives. So one minute they're in the light, the next minute they're in shadow or differently lit but in the same position. It's really nice sort of cinematic twist to things, and that's one of the things that I think puts Miller's work above others, whatever you might think of Frank Miller himself. I mean, you get your classic Kingpin scenes in this as well, where you see him working out. I think I just flicked past it then a second ago. I will find it, but you also get introductions to characters such as Elektra as well, and there is a separate Miller Elektra omnibus that you can pick up, because everyone knows what happens to Elektra, and if you don't, then I'll keep it as a surprise to new readers, but I think it's quite well known. Here we go. This is the Daredevil training, where you see him beating up lots of experienced martial artists, and then there's a scene in here, there it comes, where again you see that lighting trope where you just use that. He starts off normal, and then in the space of 1 or 2 panels he instantly becomes more sinister and gangster. I think it's a really good technique. But look, this is a book that's really well put together. It feels like a quality book when you pick it up. The paper stock is fine. It's not the thickest in the world by any stretch. As I've said in previous videos, the paper stock in the Marvel trade paperback omnibuses is really superior to the stuff in these. But I'm not sure if that's an economical thing that they're doing that for, because the bigger paper print sizes. You get nice extras in the back, sketches, covers, you know, all the usual stuff you'd expect in a Marvel omnibus for this level of character. But yeah, I think a good buy and a satisfying read, and good for anyone's collection. Okay, so this is available everywhere at the moment. Prices currently going for are on the screen. I'll show the sort of target price you should be looking for this book. Obviously, prices do fluctuate, so if you get lucky, get a publisher's return mark, get a shelf-worn copy, and you're happy with it, that's fine. You could make a great saving. Look at my omnibus buying tips videos for more on that kind of stuff and how to get the best prices. Otherwise, this is the kind of book you can pick up, read a couple of stories off, put back down again, whereas the companion has stories that are more sort of this is the chunk you've got to read to get all of your satisfaction, then you can read the next chunk, then you can read the next chunk, because they're sort of big story arcs. These are more single issue kind of stories, or single 2 issues kind of stories. If this video has helped you, please give us a thumbs up, it does help, and thank you for watching.